So in this workshop, you're going to learn how to use a web server to receive messages via the Vonage Messages API. You're going to use a database to store these texts, and you're going to make calls using the Vonage Voice API. So to further explain what we're going to be doing, so to give you a high-level overview, so you're going to have your messaging app. I think today we'll be using WhatsApp, but after the workshop, you can adapt it to use the SMS API or Facebook Messenger or whatnot. But you message your Vonage number, you say hello. So this is using the Messages API. The Messages API sends inbound messages webhook to your Node.js server. Then your Node.js server will store that in the local database. So if another number sends a message via the Messages API, that also gets forwarded via the inbound messages webhook to your Node.js server, and that also gets stored in the database. Then, you can keep doing it. So this is the song, parts that the idea is that you message in whatever lyrics you're interested in. So this keeps going until you send the delimiter that ends the song. We'll be using the FIN full stop today. So it doesn't matter which one of the participants sends this, but again, this goes via Messages API to your Node.js server. This time it doesn't store the message, but what it does, it concats all the messages together. So we had hi, my friends. This will become hi, my friends. Then it also creates an array of the numbers that have sent in messages. Then it uses the Vonage Voice API to call these numbers individually and to speak the song back out to them. I hope that makes sense. Right, so to get started, please head to the Vonage dashboard. I think, the links are just a bit up in the chat. Again, here's the code if you haven't got it already. I'll leave that up there for a few seconds. Cool. All right, so the first thing you want to do is to buy a phone number. So I can log in here. Then you go under numbers, then you go to buy a number. Please make sure to buy a UK or US number that supports SMS and voice. So if you do UK or US, SMS and voice, then a list of numbers, then you can just hit buy on them. But yeah, please make sure to do SMS and voice and UK or US. Do that for a few seconds. All right, the next bit is probably the most involved bit with the dashboard. So what we want to do is to create a new application. So if you're on the dashboard, you can go to your applications, create a new application, and so forth. So there's a few steps that you need to follow. So first thing you need to do is to give your application a name. The next thing you want to do is to download generate a public and private key. This will download the private key to your machine. Keep note of where it's downloaded because we'll need that for later. You also then want to turn on voice capabilities and messages capabilities. So this allows your application to use voice. So we'll be using this to call, and use the Messages API that we'll be using to receive messages. We'll be using a NPM package called local tunnel to expose your laptop to the internet. But when you're using local tunnel, you need to provide a unique string for your subdomain. I recommend using your name or your online username, for example. But everywhere you see subdomain here, you need to replace it with that same string. So for example, if you chose cheese strings for your subdomain, it will be cheesestrings.localtunnel.voice, and it will be cheesestrings.loca.it/webhooks inbound message and webhooks message status. So the voice URLs can be the same. We're not too interested in the voice capabilities at the moment. We'll be using the Vonage server SDK to create the voice, so we're not too interested in this. So just provide it some default values. And for the messages side, make sure that the inbound URL is this top one. So whatever subdomain you chose, /webhooks/inbound message. And the bottom one will be /webhooks/message status. So I'll leave that up there for a few seconds. Feel free to post in the chat if you are a bit lost. Cool. All right. Then the next step and final step for us on the dashboard is to set up the Messages Sandbox to receive WhatsApp messages. So what you want to do is go to Messages and Dispatch, then go to Sandbox. Then if you hit Add to Sandbox for WhatsApp, it will show you this QR code which you can scan, or it will generate a number for you which you send a passphrase to. So this will whitelist your number. So whenever you send messages in the future to this number, it all works fine. And finally, you want to make sure that the webhooks here are the same as before. So you want, your subdomain /webhooks/inbound message, and your subdomain /webhooks/message status. Cool. Make sure to hit save webhooks. So yeah, so these will be the same domains from the previous step. That illustrates it a bit clearer. Cool. All right. So once this is all done, we are now ready to start working on our application. So we'll be using a website called Glitch today, which allows you to build Node applications in your web browser. So I've created a starter project for us to work from that you can. So once you click on this link, it will create your own environment for you with everything set up for us to go. So yeah, so you should see something like this. So you've got your environment file, which is where we'll be putting secrets, and you've got index.js, which is where we'll be writing our code. And if you're interested, we have the package.js. These are the few Node packages we'll be using. So we've got the Vonage server SDK.env to load environment variables, Express, which allows us to build a web server, local tunnel, which is the program I mentioned earlier, which will allow us to provide a URL, and DB, I think it's called, it's like a local database sort of thing. So the first thing you want to do is go to your .env file and switch to plain text. Coupon. Right, so you want to enter some variables, environment variables, make sure you're in the plain text mode. So for port, this doesn't matter too much, but we can use that. Then subdomain, so this part's very important, so make sure it's the same subdomain from what you used in dashboard. Then you want to enter your Vonage API key, which if you, where'd you go for it? Just go to my own page. So you've got your API key here, which I'll put in. You've got your API secret. I can't show you my secret, but just hit copy and paste that in. Then next you've got your Vonage number. So this is the number we got from before. So if you just go to your numbers, then here, copy, to make sure that it's in the correct format. So it's so it's country code followed by the number. So with no plus. So a bit bigger. So in case of a US number, it's 447 whatever, and I guess in the US number will be 1 followed by the number. So yeah, Yulia's posted the link to get the numbers in the chat. So you should see a page like this that you can just copy. Cool. Then next thing you want to do is to get your applications. You want your application ID. So this is my application. And this is the application ID here. So you hit this, it will copy it for you. Cool. Then make sure it's up to date. Cool. Then that's not useful. Then for the last one, for the private key, you want to make sure it's within 2 quotation marks like this. Then what you want to do is the private key file that was downloaded to your computer when you created the application. You want to open that in a text editor, for example, VS Code, for example. That's what I'm going to do. Cool. Then just copy the whole file. So you can just do a Command A, copy. And make sure you're within the 2 keys. And just paste that in. So make sure that your application key is the last thing in your environment file. So delete anything that comes after this final closing single quote. So you should have single quote, then paste it in, then it should end with a single quote like this. Cool. I'm gonna hide this so I can put my API secret in. So hopefully I remember not to reopen that file. Oh, not sure why I just closed. Cool. So yeah, I'll pause here. Just cool. All right, just a quick browse of our starting index.js. So from the top, we have our constants. So this is just the packages that we're using that was seen in the package.json. Then here we're setting up our Vonage I guess object. What's this component then? Cool. This is just setting up our Vonage object. Then we've got Express being set up here. We've got so if you're not familiar with yes, the code is on GitHub. I can share it at the end. But yeah, if you're not familiar with Express, so these are what we call routes. So these are endpoints that your server will hit. Sorry, that will be hit from your server. So if you notice, these are what we put on the dashboard just recently. We've got a few functions which are going to help us out. Then we've finally got the local tunnel stuff. So this is what's going to make our code available on that subdomain that we specified. So the first thing we want to do is to make sure that our text messages are coming through. So we've got number, cool. This so rec is the request, then we're looking in the body, then we're looking in the from object, then there should be a number there, then we've got const message, which is equal to rec body dot message dot content dot text. So then now we can log body body, sorry. And here, then we want to do message. And what you can do is open here, and we've got our logs. Oh, we seem to be having an issue with NeedDB. Give me a second. Let's try. Is anybody else seeing that is very odd. We can come back to that later, I guess. Come that out. I am not 100% sure what's going on. But what I can do, if you bear with me, is just start a new one. Cool. All right. So if you followed everything correctly, you should see your app is now available at the subdomain that you specified. Then if we put this stuff back from earlier, so cool, you can do console.log your number and do the same for your message. Cool. All right. So if you have that all set up, and if you open your logs and you see your app is available, if you go back to the dashboard, bear with me. Yeah. So if you doesn't look pretty, but cool. So yeah, if you follow the WhatsApp instructions and send a message to that number, you should see a message come through. I won't see one just yet because I need to change my subdomain. So bear with me. My Mac is having an absolute nightmare at the moment, so bear with me. So let me try texting my number. Hello. And hopefully that comes through. If not, I need to change my... Oops. Oh, okay. There you go. There are messages. So can everybody confirm that they're getting messages before we move on? Cool. All right, we'll move on to the next bit. So the next bit is to, we want to insert the messages that we get into our database. So for this, we'll be using the ADB thing. So we want to use promise as well. So promises are a way of doing sort of asynchronous work in JavaScript. Excuse me, I'm not a JavaScript aficionado. So this is our promise that we created. And in our promise, we want to do db.insert, and in curly braces, round brackets, then curly braces, we want to detail the thing we want to insert. So we want a number, and that will be the number that comes into this function. We want a message, which will be the message that comes with this function. we want to add a created at property. This way, when we send the messages back to our via the voice API, then we can order the messages correctly. Otherwise, the words will be jumbled up. And the function that we want to run. This function gets fired whenever the insert operation happens. So we just want to do a quick if error is null. This means that the insert was correct. We want to resolve the promise. Put anything here. Message received. If it fails, we want to reject the promise with the error as the error message. Cool. So I hope that all makes some sense. I'll hit format again. Hopefully, yeah, so our app is running again. Cool. So this is the code that we need to insert the messages. We'll call this function later. Then the next function we want to write is to fetch the messages, which is just below. It's a very similar operation. So we want a new promise, which again resolves or rejects. And we want the big arrow. So now we're inside our promise. Then inside the promise, we want to just do db.find. This is the operation to find stuff in the database. We're going to leave it blank, so we want to find everything. Then we're going to sort it by created at. A 1, which I believe is the sorting order. And function again. Again, we want an error. This time we're getting messages back. And we do that again. So now we're inside this function, which will get called if the messages are received. And again, you can pretty much just copy and paste that into here. This time, we're just going to resolve with the messages. And there's an error. So now you should have two functions. So one to insert the message, and one to fetch messages. I'll pause quickly there, just so you can see code. Please put a message in the chat if you are if you need any help. Amanda is here now. Hello, Amanda. He's also a developer advocate at Vonage. Then cool. As you probably guessed, we are going to do a delete as well. So this is very much in like the CRUD format. We've done our create and we've done our read. We're not doing an update, and now we are going to delete. So again, new promise. Then in the promise, we want to resolve or reject. Then we want our big arrow, curly brace, which will now put us in our promise. In our promise, again, we do db.remove. So this is the operation to remove. We don't want to specify anything. It's so we can remove multiple things. Then we want in functions again. Error and number of things removed. Quite similar to before. So now we're in the block of code which is called once the operation is done. So if there's an error, we want to reject the promise, and if there's a value for number removed, we can assume that it went well. So that these are, I guess, our three database functions. So just to recap everything we've done, so we've set up our inbound webhook message. So whenever you text your WhatsApp number, it should come through here. So you should have seen that earlier. Then we've done our insert message, our fetch message, our delete message. Cool. Then we'll do one more function before we head to the break. So this function will so format messages here. So this if we go back to the slides, now what we want to do is build how we get from. So we've done all this, and now we have a database with numbers and messages. So now we want to build a function which gets it from the format of number message to a list of numbers and a concatenated message. So to do that, we are going to do some data structures work. So the first thing you want to do is create a So we're using a set of numbers rather than an array of numbers. So in case you if someone texts your number multiple times, we don't want to call them multiple times. We just need to call them once per number. So we have a set. So a set, what's the word? Enforces unique values. So if we try to put a number into the set which already exists, it would just disregard that. Then we want a array for our text. So this function already assumes that the database operation has happened. So we have a list of like database messages, which will be a row in our database. So what we want to do is messages.map message. Map isn't text function, but it works in this case. So we do numbers add message number, and do that should be numbers, sorry. Then you do text push, it's an array, then you message. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, because we've got set, if the app doesn't, if the number already exists in a set, this will just disregard the no op. Then we just add the text to the array. Cool. Well then, I guess before we break, let's. I'll leave that there for a second. Where is it? There. Just in case you want to follow. But yeah, before we break, we'll set up our route at the top here. So yeah, as mentioned in the slides, when delimiter gets set, we want to run a different code path. We don't want to store in the array. We want to call our other stuff. So what we can do is just have an if function. So we do if message is equal to fin. It's our delimiter. This could be anything as long as you remember what it is, so you can finish the thing. And we do else. So if we're not ending the text, we can now use our insert message function. So do insert message, and we put our message in here. And if there's an error, we can just log the error. Dimensions, yeah. So yeah, we have to surround it in a try catch because the if you look at the insert message function, this promise might reject due to various reasons. Cool. Then we also want to send a 200. So let whoever's connecting to this API know that we are finished. Cool. And in the case of the message being fin, again, we want to surround it with try catch. No, we want to log out the error again here. Here we want to. So we want to get our list of messages, which we can get using our fetch messages function. Cool. So yeah, as Amanda mentioned, this is asynchronous, so this will run off and fetch the messages, and when it's done, it will come back and assign to this variable. Then we can go forward and what do we want to do here? Yeah, let's log it out for now. Then we can take a break. So hopefully this is all working. So I can do hi, hello, howdy. Then if I send fin, it should. There you go. So yeah, this is our database of messages. I think I've messed something up below. These should be in quotes, I believe. Is that right? Yeah. So if I try that again, that's weird. Why is it? Ah, that's my bad. This should be number message here. Of course, because you need the you need the phone number to store it. There you go. That works. Cool. I think we'll take a short break here. And when we get back, we can we'll make the call, and it should all hopefully be fine at that point. So cool. I think we'll probably break for maybe five or so minutes. So to recap what we did earlier, we got our inbound messages. We wrote a function to insert messages into our local database, to fetch the messages from our local database, to delete the messages from our local database, and to format the messages after we fetch them. Then we tested that, so we printed out the messages to our console. So what we want to do next is to actually use the Voice API to make our call now. So you're probably maybe a bit tired of this, but we're doing another promise. And so for that, yeah. Oh, missing some brackets. We put in there. Then we do the big. We do the arrow. There's our promise. Then inside our promise, we want to create two new variables. So these are the numbers we want to call and the text. And this is the return of format messages. New format messages with tickets. Actually, we forgot to finish off this function. There you go. Format messages returns an array, so it converts this set back into an array, and it does a join on the text array that we built. I'll give you a second with that, but yeah. So this will return it in the format. So the first thing will be the numbers, and the next thing will be the text. Cool. So now that we have a list of numbers we want to call, what we want to do is to do a for loop. So for each number, arrow again. For each number, what we want to do is use the Vonage SDK, so do Vonage. So this Vonage here is the object we created earlier. And because we passed it our API key, secret, application, and ID and private key, it's all set up and authenticated for us, so we can just make the call. So we can just do calls, create, try to keep the brackets in order, because we do have a bit of cascade. Cool. But in here, the best way to demonstrate this is to show you the API reference. But the call The call create function just takes a few parameters. Try to get up here. I'll be up here. So we have NCCO. So NCCO is a Nexmo core control object, which is it's represented by a JSON array, and there's a few actions that you can do, and it will tell you what to do with the call. Essentially, you've got your to, so who you're calling, and you've got your from, where you're calling from. So for here, so for our NCCO, we are going to do NCCO, and this is a JSON object. So you're going to do square brackets, in square brackets, curly brackets, within the action. No, outside. So we want to do a talk action, and with our talk action, we want some text, and that text is, so this is what the when you get the call, this is what's going to be said. So we're going to say this song is generated. Hope you enjoy it. Then space. We add our text. Then when it's done, you can say it's this text variable is our messages matched together into a long string. Cool. So now that we've got our NCCO, the next thing we want to do is to tell the call action where to send it. So here we do something. So type. We're calling a phone. Then I forget the color. Then the number that we want to call is the number that we're iterating over. So this will be one of the index of number we have. Then from is another object. Then again the type of from would be phone again. And the number would be your Vonage. This is the number from your environment variable, so your Vonage number. I can't show you mine currently because my API secret is in there. So maybe if I hit format, maybe that's a bit easier to follow, maybe with the brackets. So we've got this outer one. We've got the outer one, which is a loop. And in that loop, we've got our call create, then we've got our first object, the NCCO, then to, then the from. Cool. Then, so on the bracket for the calls create here, so this one, you want to add a function. I think I did it in a shorthand way. This will get called whenever this is done. Then what we want to do is quite similar to before. If there's an error, we reject. Otherwise, we just print out the response to the console. So this would be a voice API response. So we'll just say like the call ID, which number it called, and which number it called from. Cool. So assuming this all goes to plan, what we want to do is to resolve our promise. This just lets we'll do stuff asynchronously. This just lets it know that it's done, and we can move on. Cool. So that's how we make the call. I'll leave that there for a bit. Trying to fit it on the screen. It's a big function. So, but yeah, just to recap. So this call takes in messages. So these messages are in the database format. So what we want to do is format them into what we want. So we have a list of numbers and a string of text. Then we iterate over the numbers. For every number we iterate over, we make a call. For every call that happens, we have this thing. So if there's an error, we want to just cancel. If there's a response, we just log it out. Then once we're done making all the calls, we're going to resolve to this, just to let it know that we're done. So if my memory serves me correctly, I believe that's the final function we need. So what we want to do is go up to our webhooks inbound message here. Then, so after we fetch our messages, what we want to do is make the calls. There you go. Make call with messages. Cool. So now this will go off and make the call. So once that's done, we want to delete messages. Cool. So we're deleting the messages that way. Once you're done with one round, you can just keep going without restarting the server or anything. And cool. So I believe that's done now. So I think Amanda, if you're still here, we can test that. So if you have I think you have my WhatsApp number. So if you just send some messages on WhatsApp to that number. So I'm going to send hello. Stuff. Yeah. Cool. Then if I send fin, so this will finish everything. You should get a call back, maybe. Hopefully. I didn't get a call, but did you not get a call? Or maybe we've messed something up. Let's look at this core function one more time. This one. The formatter goes a bit rogue. No, your number should be fine. Shouldn't have any error. I think from the formatter is messed up. Let me just make sure that my environment variables are correct. I believe that should be expected, and should be fine. Good. Let's try that again. No, I think I've missed up something. That's okay. Cool. Right, so it's coming in here. And let's see if it gets the messages fine. There you go. Cool, that's fine. So something in here. So we can try that. I think the issue might be with the voice API. Give me a second. Okay, well, I think I know what our problem is. Yeah, this might be the issue here. But yeah, the it works. Probably not my work. We're having an incident at the moment, but I think give us a second. Yeah, let's just double check everything on our side. Wait, is it a lamp or something? That's fine. No, Yulia says she got the call, so maybe it's somewhat working. what we can do is just replace this function. Michael, yeah, there are some restrictions on getting members in certain territories. I think you need to. But yeah, Yulia says it works. So maybe it's working on your end, and my specific one is a bit messed up. Or maybe. But yeah, I think if you contact, I think some countries you have to contact to get a number, so that's why we recommended a UK/US number, since we're just doing outbound calls. But yeah, Yulia says it works for her, so I'm assuming everything is okay. And it's just my version not working. I think. I guess we can maybe end it there, because I'm not getting any specific errors. So I'm going to maybe attribute it to the Voice API not liking me today. We can do a last minute thing. Let me try the nuclear option. Just in my code. Yeah, I'm suspicious. Maybe if Yulia wants to jump on and share her screen. But yeah, I think maybe my my things are a bit messed up. Hello.
Hi, everyone. I'll just take over for a minute.
Thank you.
If I can share my screen, which doesn't appear to be an option, so maybe...
maybe if I stop sharing, you can...
All right, so we are here in Glitch. Well, Abdul walked you through it, and I followed along, so it should be fine. And let me just quickly clear the logs. Okay, and now using WhatsApp, I'll start typing random things and sending it messages. Long enough to... Yeah, I'm not really typing, just suggestions. It will make a good rap, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now that I'm finished, I will type fin, lowercase followed by a full stop. And now
there you go. There's your callback.
Join. Thank you. Sorry. Thank goodness. No chat. Thank you. JS conference. Goodbye.
There you go.
Oh.
So that's the
So
expected.
hopefully you did hear that. Thank you.
Thank you.